going on, everybody? Happy Thursday.
It's Thursday already.
Thursday. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman here with Freddie C. Frederick Campagna.
Yeah.
And like I always say, whenever we got Fred in the house, you know what direction this show is going to take, right?
Well, at least in the months of April, May, and June,
Correct.
NBA.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Well, actually, we have more than just NBA, though, on the rundown today. So still always can be talking about football.
Yeah, we got some football thrown in
Yeah.
there too, but obviously taking the head of this, is the NBA and Game 2, man. Seems like the Super Series. It almost seems like the NBA Finals when you look at the Golden State
Right.
State Warriors against the Lakers. I mean, kind of when you look at things, man, it's
Yeah.
just it's almost like I almost have the feeling whoever wins this series might win the championship, right? I mean, that's what it seems like, right?
I'm getting a kick out of how we're trying to frame you up better. There we go.
There you go. I did.
You
I
were
was
looking a little low.
looking like I was like a mini person. I don't know.
Now you look good.
I look good. Good.
I honestly couldn't listen to a word you said up until that point. So
Lakers Warriors Game 2.
Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
So you still think that if the Warriors win this series and then Steph wins the title, that he's better than LeBron? Is that still the hill that you're going to fight your battle on?
Look, I never said I thought Steph was better than LeBron. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is the player of the decade. So let's say the player of this era. So
Well,
when you're looking
decade
at-
era,
Yeah. So when you're going back the last 10 or 12 years,
Yeah, okay.
when you kind of break that down,
Yeah, yeah.
when you look at it right now, they each have 4 NBA championships.
Mm-hmm.
I think we agree that each team that they've been on, they've pretty much been,
Yeah.
if you want to argue Kevin Durant and Steph Curry in those years, whatever, but it looks
Yeah.
like their championship teams were built around Steph Curry.
Right.
When you look at both of those guys being the kind of players that they are, they're no kind of like the two faces of the NBA. They both have 4 NBA titles. Steph has gotten the best of LeBron in the NBA Finals 3 out of 4 times.
Okay.
So that's
All
kind of
right,
why
yeah,
we're
yeah, we
That's where I was going with it.
we
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So round one of the heavyweight battle goes to
Lakers.
Anthony Davis, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, he was,
sure.
he faded in the second half for sure. He was immense though in the first half of that game. 9 of 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
Bunch of rebounds, ton of points. Just not happy about something, are you?
I'm not going away, man. I had to make sure I was okay. I
Let's
feel
see.
better now. I feel better now.
Oh yeah, looking
Look good.
good.
Let's go.
Always looking good. So
AD.
yeah, he was something else. He was great. Faded in the second half, but balanced. And I think I might have talked about this earlier this week. That it's not just about scoring right now for LeBron and these Lakers. Like he's getting everybody involved, and there's a balance to this team that I think makes them more dangerous than if he was just like the ultimate focal point.
Sure.
I fully expect though, Scott, Golden State to come out tonight and bounce back. I mean, the Dubs need a dub tonight. I think because if they lose tonight, that's 0-2 at home.
Yeah. They're in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, after the Celtics game last night, which we will talk about, I think that teams losing game 1 at home in NBA playoff series have now won the last 13 game 2s.
Wow. Well, hey, look. I mean, if I'm Golden State, I would think that they would enter tonight's game with a sense of urgency, right? Because the Lakers have been playing some great ball, and I tell you what, I don't think it's a slam dunk that Golden State wins tonight. Just kind of when you look at things, when you look at how the Lakers play, that I don't think they're going away. I think the Warriors have some serious questions to answer as far as, like you said, Anthony Davis was dominant last game. I mean, not just dominant on the offensive end. I personally thought in watching that game that his domination came more on the defensive end because him being that presence in the middle, he blocked a lot of shots. He altered a lot of shots. It really affected what Golden State was trying to do as far as getting to the bucket. Like, everyone thinks the Golden State is just this totally three-point shooting team. All they want to do is jack up threes. Golden State, their offense is so good, they can kind of backdoor you, do backdoor screens and stuff, get a lot of things at the rim. A lot more plays at the rim than what you think. But with Anthony Davis down there in game 1, he altered, it seemed like, every shot that came down into that low post. Anthony Davis was there waiting to either block it, redirect it, alter it, him and Jared Vanderbilt. So I don't think that's going away. Like, I don't think that's not going to be a problem moving forward. So I think that every game they play in this series, I think Anthony Davis just having to find a way. Look, he wasn't even looking at Draymond Green on offense. When Draymond Green had the ball, he was just He couldn't even see.
Up the way we should be? I feel like I'm seeing one of our streams and I'm still seeing. I think we're being heard. Maybe we're not being seen.
This is a problem because I gotta be seen. I mean,
Right? You're over there adjusting lights.
We got some stuff to see here, man.
I'm just saying. I'm just asking our producer Ellie to double check it.
Oh,
the switch. All right, let's see. Let's see what happens here. If eventually I see myself.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Look at that.
Hey, just in time to really hit this hard. So,
yeah.
Like I was saying before, let me go through that again. When you look at, I think Anthony Davis causes more problems for Golden State on the defensive end than even on the offensive end. We know Anthony Davis is a great player. He's going to score a lot of points. He's going to get his 25, 30 points a game. When he's out there, he's going to get 10 or 11 boards. I think the biggest problem for Golden State is Anthony Davis's impact on the defensive end. He was altering shots. He was blocking shots. Golden State never felt comfortable getting to the basket. So if whoever he's guarding, he was guarding Draymond Green a lot. He was playing Draymond Green defense. He was playing the kind of defense that Draymond Green plays against Russell Westbrook. He wasn't even thinking about Draymond. Draymond would have the ball at the top of the key. He wasn't even looking at him. He was like, go ahead, dribble, do what you're going to do, because he didn't have any confidence that Draymond Green could hit a shot. So I think unless Golden State has 5 guys on the floor and someone that can really bring Anthony Davis out and make him respect, that can hit shots, I think it's going to be a long series, because if you let Anthony Davis stay around the bucket and alter shots every game, Golden State could lose every game.
So you just predicted a sweep? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they're going to make some adjustments, but I think people forget, maybe it's because of the injuries, but when Anthony Davis is healthy and playing like he is right now, it's Embiid, it's Giannis, it's Anthony Davis. I mean, they're all incredible players when they're completely healthy, and Anthony Davis, for my money, is right there with those other 2 guys. For sure. You know, when he's fully healthy like he is right now. The question is, there's still a lot of playoffs to go. Can he stay healthy going forward? At least once a game, he's grimacing about something. So hopefully he can stay healthy, continue, you know, because you want to see the best players playing, obviously, in these important NBA playoff games. I think that Golden State bounces back. I really do. I'll go back to that stat that I just had, which I think is now 13 straight times that when the home team in an NBA series loses game 1, they win game 2 after the Celtics did it last night. Lakers, they won game 1 in Memphis, and then they came back and they lost game 2. So I think that it's just human inclination. There's a little bit of a letdown. They truly know that they wanted to go up to Golden State and get the split before heading back to LA. They've already got the split. When you have the split, it can make it that much tougher. And then you compound it with that Golden State is a little more desperate. And if they're not desperate, then this is probably the end of the run, at least this playoff run for the Warriors. Because if they're not desperate, coming back from 0-2, losing both games at home in the NBA, seems like too tall of a task, especially against LeBron and the Lakers.
Yeah.
So.
And I'll tell you one thing for sure, though. I think, unlike Memphis maybe a little bit, I don't think the Lakers are going to let their guards down with Golden State, because they understand that Golden State, they understand how dangerous Steph Curry is. He's one of the best players in basketball. I think they understand how dangerous he is. So I don't think they're going to let their guard down.
Maybe they don't let their guard down, but I do think that Golden State I think that head to head, I don't think the Lakers are head and shoulders above Golden State. No. So I think just if Golden State comes out, plays with a little more sense of urgency, plays a little bit better, possibly defensively. You know, Kevon Looney does something to slow down Anthony Davis, especially early in the game. And so that kind of segues into our next topic, which is, you know, the Celtics and 76ers. And the Celtics came out in game 2, played much better defensively, were very efficient offensively, and even and Embiid back on the floor looked to me to be relatively healthy.
Yeah.
But the Celtics ran him. They put him in action every single time, made him switch as much as possible defensively, or at least be involved in, like, he didn't get to take any defensive possessions off. He did have a great block on Jaylen Brown right at the rim, you know, but and then tied the game up with a 35-point lead or 35-point win or whatever it was, you know. So now that series is tied at 1-1, headed back to Philly.
Yeah, you know, I think when you look at kind of what that series is so far. I mean, James Harden was so impressive in Game 1. He was so impressive. He had to do so much. And then it seemed like last night with Joel Embiid back, maybe he didn't have that same aggressiveness. I don't know if he was trying to work Joel back into the flow of the offense or whatever,
Yeah.
but and I'm sure Boston played a huge role in taking them out of what they wanted to do because they were much more aggressive defensively. But I want to see more in Game 3 out of James Harden. Like, I mean, I want to see that at least more of that Game 1 James Harden back, where he's just more aggressive with the basketball. And I think another guy who I watch in some of these games too, who every time Philly makes the playoffs and they have a deep run, I always end up asking, where's Tobias Harris? Like, he's making like 30-something million a year, right? I mean, it seems like some of these playoff games he just comes up missing. But it must be a great life for Tobias Harris, right? I mean, here's a guy who can make about $33-34 million per year and not really be held accountable the way Joel Embiid and James Harden is when things go left. So, yeah, I want to see guys like him. And normally role players play better when you go home. So I would like to think Tobias Harris is better than a role player.
Yeah.
So I think guys like him, Maxey, are going to play better when they go home. So I do think, I'm I guess getting a little bit ahead of ourselves though.
Yeah.
But I do think that they'll bounce back in Game 3.
Yeah, well, that's what this is. You know, we're just previewing what's going to come in this series, and Tobias Harris, for all intents and purposes, is almost like an Al Horford type on the Sixers, but being paid more than Al, younger than Al, should be a bigger part of everything the Sixers are doing than what Al is for the Celtics. So I agree with you there. He's got to play a little bit better, or at least have a little bit more of an impact on the game than he did. Good luck getting that Game 1 Harden back. I think that, you're going to find the water reaching its level somewhere between Game 1 Harden and Game 2 Harden. He did lead the NBA in assists this year. I think the Celtics, there will be an adjustment from Doc and Embiid on how his offensive game goes in Game 3. The Celtics did some stuff. They were throwing little guys. They were throwing Marcus Smart on Embiid. They were throwing Grant Williams on Embiid early in possessions, like with Rob Williams and Al Horford on the floor. As the Sixers are bringing the ball down, Smart is the one picking up Embiid. So I think that may have confused the Sixers a little bit, as to how exactly, they were going to get into whatever it was that they wanted to get into offensively. But if I'm a Sixers fan, and our big resident Sixers fan is Rick Fulbaum, and I'm a little bit concerned because Jason Tatum scored 7 points last night, and the Celtics still won by 35. So, you didn't have a good Tatum game. You got to figure he's going to bounce back. So this is an interesting series because the Sixers steal one without Embiid. Then they get Embiid back and get their doors blown off. So I still don't think we even know what we have, really, with this series. So I think Game 3 is pivotal. I think that the winner of Game 3 takes more than a one-game step toward winning this series, if that makes any sense, right?
No, yeah, man.
Especially
bigger.
So Game 3 is a big one, and the Celtics have kind of been an up and down playoff team. Even though they went to the finals last year, they did take all their series aside from the Brooklyn one pretty deep. So we'll see what happens down in Philly.
When you watch Philly last few years, man, it just seems like they have two guys as their best players that just seem to disappear when it matters most. And it's like this time of year, if it's Embiid, if it's not injuries, it's ineffectiveness, or he looks tired, it just seems like Embiid just wears down this time of year. When you think about James Harden, he has some of the most famous ghost performances in important games, I think, in NBA history, where he'll just completely disappear in important games. So for me, that's the fascinating part about this series is I know Boston's going to be Boston. Boston's one of the best teams in basketball, period. But I think when you look at Philly, I'm just interested to see if Embiid and Harden can maintain their intensity throughout a 7-game series, and we can get the best of Joel Embiid, because I'm still waiting to see a dominant performance from Joel Embiid in the NBA playoffs. We see it during the regular season, but I've never seen Joel Embiid just completely dominate in the NBA playoffs, and I'm looking forward to maybe seeing that.
Yeah, well, the fourth game that he played against the Celtics this year was probably one of the best basketball games individually that any player played all season.
Right.
Not just against the Celtics or not just for the Sixers. I mean, any player in the league. He was incredible that night. He needs to have a game, maybe not that good, but he needs to have a 35, 40-point game. 16, 20 rebounds, something along those lines. Harden needs to do more than he did. And guys like Tyrese Maxey are going to have to play a huge role for the Sixers in this series if they're going to be successful. So,
sure.
they got the Sixers, they didn't get much out of Tucker last night. They didn't get much out of Yang. And like you mentioned, Tobias Harris was, he was all right, but
he was Tobias Harris.
Yeah, no imprint really on the game. Right. And it was one of those games too that went from 8-point game, I think it was at halftime or something like that, and then next thing you know, it's 28.
It took off.
By the end of the third, it was completely over, which means that Tatum's on the bench and Brown's on the bench, and all the guys from the Celtics are getting some rest. So a few guys got right in the game. Brogdon had a strong game, and Derek White seemed to find his shot again. Grant Williams got some valuable minutes in that game and played well. So this one would think this got the Celtics rolling a little bit, but we'll find out when they go down to Philly. Should be fun Friday night.
We talking football?
Let's talk some football. Yeah, let's shift gears here. And what's that? 20? Yeah, it's been a week. It's been a week since the 2023 draft. So let's talk about the 2024 draft.
So I'm looking at CBSSports.com. I'm looking ahead. They have this way too early 2024 mock draft, right?
Oh, I thought we were going to do the 2026 mock draft.
Oh, no.
Not yet. That's next week. Yeah, 24 mock draft. All right, so next year's mock draft.
So looking at the 2024 mock draft, and already you see a couple of dogs appear there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, not surprised. So you see Brock Bowers there. And you see Javon Bullard, who is the playmaking safety, kind of right there. So already 2 dogs. So my question to you, man, and I think there's going to be more by the time the season.
Of course there will be, yeah.
So it was kind of said a little bit last year, and I want to know, I know what my take is, has UGA sort of turned into the next Alabama? Have they supplanted Alabama as that every year in and year out, 4 or 5 first-round picks?
I think that they're just on that level. I mean, you saw what the Lions did to get Jahmyr Gibbs, right? So they moved up, to get Gibbs. So they're on that level of Alabama. Will Anderson, was drafted higher than any dog, and Jalen Carter, maybe if all the offseason stuff hadn't happened with him, he might have been the number 1 overall pick. We don't know, but ultimately drafted, a lot lower than Anderson was. So I think that they're on the same level. They have the same amount of talent. I think that the Dogs have been putting great pros into the league for years. Yeah. Philadelphia is just like, we'll just take all the dogs. That's what the Eagles are gonna do. That's what their defense is gonna be. And now they have DeAndre Swift too. But of the 2 guys that you mentioned being mocked as what, top 10 picks or first-round picks?
Well, just first-round picks. They have Brock Bowers in the top 10, Javon Bullard a little later. But Javon Bullard, I mean, like, I get it. And that, like, he knocked out Marvin Harrison out of the national championship game. That saved everything for him. I mean, and Javon Bullard, he made a lot of big plays on defense, so I understand that one. But when you think about Brock Bowers, man, I mean, I think people look at him as a guy who could maybe revolutionize the position at the next level.
Well, I mean, I think people, when they look at Bowers, they see Gronk, they see Kelsey, just once in I was going to say generational, but Kelsey and Gronk were basically the same generation. So, but when I look at Brock Bowers, I see more Gronk than Kelsey. To me, Gronk's a better blocker than Kelsey will ever be.
Sure.
And Bowers needs to block in this Georgia offense. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Bowers, if he stays healthy, is a top 10 pick for sure. He's Kyle Pitts type of impact, and Pitts went 5th. Is that when the Falcons took Pitts? It was whatever it was,
really high,
so he was really high. So I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that assessment of Brock Bowers, and a lot of people talking about it. Some people talking about how Darnell Washington, his draft stock may have slipped a little bit because of Brock Bowers. I say no way. I say there were other concerns with Darnell Washington. Possibly play on the field, possibly injury concerns, whatever it was. I mean, these NFL teams, are going to get a look at a guy. They're going to talk to a guy. So he has potential, I think, but I don't think that he slipped the way that he did because of Brock Bowers, taking balls away from him potentially at the tight end position.
You know, as I look at the tight end position, I remember, you know, like I said, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody too loud, right? No. So I remember some years back when they were, you know, getting ready to draft and everything. And I'm saying this is kind of who. I'm not saying that Brock reminds me of this player in particular, but this player was supposed to change the position, but it never really happened at the next level. The Browns drafted a guy in 2004 by the name of Kellen Winslow Jr.
Kellen Winslow, two.
K2, yeah.
K2,
and he was one of those guys, when you saw him at the college level, you thought, this guy's going to change the tight end position in the NFL. And then he had some injuries and things kind of went left. He had an okay career, but certainly not the kind of career that we thought he would have. So hopefully Brock Bowers really kind of, you know, hopefully he has a better career than him and does the right things and everything like that. Kellen did a lot of things, you know, off the football field that kind of cost him his dreams too.
Right.
So
that definitely can't be understated.
Right.
You know, I mean, he is Kellen Winslow too. Dad's a pro player.
Right.
You know, for whatever reason he didn't have the career that I think a lot of people thought he would have.
Right.
But I mean, I love
Brock
Bowers.
Yeah.
You know, Brock Bowers. You know, incredible. I mean, just, you know, there aren't too many tight ends that can kind of take that bubble screen or that short pass and just turn it into an electric play.
For sure.
You know, once he gets going downhill, you know, it looks like it's downhill.
Yeah.
You know, and there are only a few guys like that in the league. And Kelsey and Gronk, you know, certainly Gronk was one of them, and Kelsey is another one.
Yeah.
So, should be fun, and I think if he's healthy, he's a lock for the top 10. Lock for the top 10.
So do you think Bijan Robinson is a lock for the Rookie of the Year next year? Falcons first-round pick, running back? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why he's the favorite, you know, to win it. Or I'm assuming, did I see that he's the
He's the betting favorite. He's
betting
the betting
favorite, right?
To
Well,
win
you can
Rookie of the
understand why, right? Because he should get the ball a lot in this offense, and unlike Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or some of these other quarterback, you know, rookies, their mistakes are more glaring.
Yeah.
If Carolina's 6-11 or 7-10, that'll be an okay first season for Bryce Young.
Sure.
So Bryce Young, in order to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, is probably going to have to get them to like 9-8 or better. Right. Or maybe 8-9, and just a really good low
He's
interception
got a bigger
year.
task too. Just in
That's what I'm
general.
saying.
Yeah.
It's just to me, it's a tougher transition going in as a quarterback. So Bijan, you know, is going to see the ball a lot, and there are other weapons for Atlanta, so he should be able to not be the ultimate focal point of every defense that comes in, you know. So I can certainly see that, and I think that he should be considered a strong favorite.
You know, it's kind of crazy. So on one side, when they made the pick of Bijan Robinson, I'm thinking in my mind like, okay, who in 2023 drafted a running back that high, right? I mean, because for me, it really didn't make sense, just given the fact we've all seen the history of running backs. And to me, like I've said, outside of field goal kickers and punters, running back might be the most replaceable position in football. Not because the position isn't important. It's more so because there's a lot of guys that can run the football, and it seems to be a position that you could find a lot of value for late in the draft, second, third, fourth rounders. A lot of the best running backs in football right now, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook over the last 3 or 4 years, those guys were second-round picks. So when the Falcons first made the selection, I'm kind of scratching my head like, I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense, right? But I think when you look at Arthur Smith, where he came from Tennessee, where they beat people over the head with the running game. You know, he had Derrick Henry and those guys. Yeah. So I think for what the Falcons want to do, they have a young quarterback in Desmond Ridder. They also have Tyler Algier last year, who rushed for over 1,000 yards.
He was good.
Yeah, he was a good back. So I think adding Bijan Robinson to the weapons you already have, along with Drake London, who was a first-round pick, along with Kyle Pitts, who was a first-round pick, and they're kind of building the offensive line together too. I think what you're doing is you're giving your young quarterback every single chance he needs to succeed. Yeah. So I think that's not a bad thing. I don't think adding an extra weapon on offense is a bad thing. So yeah, I think that he will be another weapon added to the bunch. Mm-hmm. So when you think about his chances to win Rookie of the Year, yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get every opportunity to do that, because I think he's going to get the ball a lot, because he has a quarterback who's probably not going to throw the ball a whole lot.
Right. So if
let's be real.
For argument's sake, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 40 receptions, a couple more touchdowns than that, that's probably going to be enough to get it done. Unless Jahmyr Gibbs has a great, rookie year, one of the wide receivers for some reason comes out and has an incredible rookie year. I think that he has a good chance of doing it. I think that the Falcons will be best suited, though, to not force feed him. I always feel like it's a blessing and a curse to have, just that one player on your team at running back or wide receiver that's like, well, we got to get them involved because in the NFL with matchups, sometimes you just have to go in a different direction with a certain game plan.
Right.
And it can be, I think the Titans always struggle with this. Well, it's like, oh, we got to get Derrick Henry involved. Well, sometimes, that's not going to be your best way to win the game. So, so we'll see. Definitely got some weapons there, though, on offense. All right. So what's on your mind, Scott?
Well, for me, I mean, it's kind of really hard to not have the NBA playoffs on my mind. Right?
Yeah.
Now, what's on my mind, though, is I sat here and made a prediction a few weeks ago, right? And I know I'm always called under
the
fire.
Cavaliers are out.
Look, I'm always called to the carpet for a lot of my predictions, right? Because especially when it comes to like Memphis winning that one night.
Yeah.
However, I did make the prediction at the beginning of this that when we started doing like a few weeks ago, I thought the Lakers were headed to the NBA Finals.
Make a little run. All right. So, well, tonight could be another big step
pretty good.
in that direction. Yeah, no, it's not looking bad. I mean, they're one of the final 8 teams, and they got a 1-0 lead on the defending champs. So, all right. So you're just doubling. What's on your mind is you're
down.
like, I'm doubling down.
And
I said this.
I'm taking my moment to shine. I'm not shying away from it. I think the Lakers are going. And as hard as it may seem from the number 7 seed, I think the Lakers are going to the NBA Finals, man. They just look like. I think Golden State is going to be competitive in the series. I think they're going to fight back in the series. It's just looking like right now that they have a determination that they really want this. And I think if Anthony Davis is playing, if he continues, he's the most dominant player, I think, right now in these playoffs.
Well, they must know that you picked them. So you were on the record that you were on the record.
I'm on the record.
You're on the record. You're double on the record.
I'm staying with it. I'm staying with the Lakers.
Really quick before we go, I want to end on a down note, but what's on my mind is, like, what have you done for me lately? I don't know if you saw, but the Bucks dumped Coach Bud today after leading the team to the best record in the entire NBA, get bounced in the first round. Sadly, it came out that during that series, his brother had died in a car crash, and then today he's let go. So I don't know who they're going to bring in Milwaukee. Maybe Nick Nurse, from Toronto. I think that both Nurse would look at that roster as a big upgrade from what he had in Toronto, and it's possible that the Bucks organization could look at Nurse as an upgrade over Coach Bud. Yeah,
that's kind of crazy, right? To go from NBA championship coach 2 years ago, he was an NBA champion. To fire 2 years later, that's life in the NBA, man. That's a tough life.
Apparently so. Best record in the NBA doesn't count for much. No. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. Scott, thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely, man.
All right, let me see. You got Lakers NBA Finals. All right, good. All right, have a good night.
You
See
too.
ya.